And now it's time for a RoadWorthy Drive with Ken Chester.
Hey everybody, Ken Chester in studio for another hour of RoadWorthy Drive. Thank you for joining us here on YouTube Live. In studio with me, as usual, the usual list of suspects. Our executive producer, Jack.
Hello.
Our social media person, Sasha. And yours truly. In breaking news, Uber will cost you more. And it's fall winter maintenance time. That's right, kids. It's time to tune up your car and check stuff over so you don't get stranded in the middle of wintertime. Our main topics, we've got three this hour. The trade publication Automotive News did a survey, did a study of 900 women talking about sexism in the car business. I'm here to report, unfortunately, it's alive and well. We delve into that. In the second topic, I want to tell you about a banking rule, and usually I don't get into legislation, but this is a rule that was defeated by your Congress that may have implications for you on your next car loan. And we'll talk about that a little bit. And then finally, they're developing new technologies so you don't have to kill Bambi when Bambi bounds out in front of your car at 40 miles an hour. All that more right here this hour. Thank you for joining us. This is RoadWorthy Drive, sir, 11 minutes.
11 minutes.
And we are, go ahead when you go ahead.
Here we go.
Do you want to go faster? Yeah!
It's time for RoadWorthy Drive with Ken Chester, America's premier automotive news and information talk show. Ken loves talking all about cars, past, present, and future. Here he is, that automotive nerd with a historical twist, Ken Chester.
Welcome to another information-packed hour of RoadWorthy Drive. I'm your automotively reliable host, Ken Chester. Thank you for dropping by. With each visit, I share my years of knowledge and experience in the industry with automotive trends and technology of today, and act sort of your translator in making all of this evolution easier to understand. Being the nerd and historian that I am, I do admit to getting into the weeds sometimes, but in your case, it's always good. Combine that with the information you can use today, and you have an hour that you don't want to miss each and every week. And this hour, of course, no exception. In a few minutes, it's a more expensive Uber ride and a public service reminder on automotive maintenance and breaking news. During the next segment, I will talk about sexism in the automotive industry. Yeah, even today, it's still a thing. The trade publication Automotive News did a study, and we're going to talk about its findings. Later, I want to give you a heads up on recent regulation that was killed off by Congress that actually may affect your rights when you get your next car loan. Now, as regular listeners know, it takes a team to bring RoadWorthy Drive to you each and every week. An important individual on our team is the executive producer, who makes sure all goes well when we are underway. That gentleman at the controls is none other than my good friend, Jack DeLeon. Hey there, Jack.
Hi, Ken. How are you
doing?
I'm well.
Not bad. I see that we've got the audio challenges resolved here.
We hope we have the audio challenges
everything's
resolved.
well, and there's no echo, and things are good.
Yeah, well, things are good on that front. However,
oh no, another meeting with the suits.
The suits came calling, and they said I had to play this.
Okay.
The story you're about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Okay, apparently we neglected something.
What did we neglect?
We
that
got
you can't see?
No, we got a new station about a month ago.
We did.
And we have not welcomed them yet, and they thought it might be a really good idea, i.e. they were standing up with their hands folded and their feet tapping.
My goodness.
So please, you do the honors.
I will. We have come home to News Radio 1040 WHO.
Yes, we did.
And we're so glad to be back and we're glad they're part of the RoadWorthy Drive Radio Network.
Yep.
Across, as they say, the fruited plain.
Yes, we are. And full disclosure, I have worked at WHO Radio for 28 years. Almost 28 and a half.
Indeed, indeed. So we're glad to be home.
We're home.
Yeah, we are.
What's going on this week, Mr. Chester?
Well, let me get to the point. The next Uber you get might cost you more money, particularly if you're outside of a downtown or it takes you a little longer to get to the vehicle. In other words, if you're slow.
Okay, do you have a specific amount of time before those charges start occurring?
I'm guessing they give you about 2 minutes from the time they pull up. A little bit over that, you'll probably start incurring charges.
Okay, but are you incurring charges if they're basing this out of a downtown somewhere?
Well,
and you live 10 to 20 minutes away from downtown.
Well, there's other fees. Basically, let me back up for a minute.
All right.
Uber's trying to sweeten the pot for drivers, particularly if they're going on a longer route or out to suburbia or something like that. They're also trying to arrange for not basically getting caught where drivers are driving the drive only to get canceled or not making their money because there was more cost involved in making the trip than money they were making. Bottom line. So these surcharges were aimed at resolving what they call pain points for Uber drivers, particularly when they feel such trips like that may not be worth the time or the money. Now, the application of the surcharges will depend on the market, length of pickup, but generally drivers will start to earn standard time and distance rates about 8 to 11 minutes of driving to pick up the rider. So in other words, if you hail an Uber and it takes them, say, 15 minutes to get to you, then you're going to probably see added charges after about the 11th minute, time and distance.
Do we know what those charges are?
They will tell you in the upfront fare when you request the Uber. You'll know what they are.
Okay.
So you can still turn it down.
So this is not going to be a surprise to the consumer.
No. But they're trying to make both Uber available in places where it's not currently by making it worth the driver's while to go out there, while at the same time kind of balancing some of the driver complaints, typically where people get out there and they cancel or something like that. Basically, or drivers that won't go. Like, for example, riders who get matched with a driver then refuses to move will end up paying less in cancellation fees. So there's some advantages there for the Uber passenger as well. Or drivers who travel a long distance for a pickup only to get hit with a last-minute cancellation, they'll actually get more money, so it won't be a total bust for them. So basically, they're trying to even this out.
And I can understand that. I know some people that have driven for Uber who lasted less than a month.
Yeah, it's a tough business. Now, riders will be charged extra for making drivers wait longer than 2 minutes. Now, this is an extension of a pilot that they actually started last year in New York City, New Jersey, Phoenix, and Dallas. Those fees will vary, but Uber example, if a driver had to wait 3 minutes and 45 seconds in this example, cost you an extra 86 cents.
Okay.
So basically it takes you a little bit to get there. You may pay more.
And I'm going to assume that somebody's thought about the nice older lady who has a walker who's trying to get out there.
If grandma's Ubering, she might want to get out there before she calls them or be awful close.
Okay.
I mean, that's the bottom line. Shifting gears a little bit. It's fall.
Yes, it is.
And most of us, at least in 2017, are still driving vehicles that require gasoline, antifreeze, transmission fluid, motor oil, things like that.
Yes, sir.
We're still driving either a gasoline-based or a diesel-based engined vehicle.
And we're at that time of the year where things can go very wrong very quickly and not in the most ideal of weather situations.
Well, here's the thing. It's a great time to do an inspection. The problem with as sophisticated as our vehicles have gotten is that people start neglecting stuff. They forget about filters. They don't check the oil. They don't realize to check the transmission fluid if you still have a transmission dipstick. Now, in some of the newer cars, it's a permanently sealed system, so that's no longer an issue, as is the power steering system, which is now electric, so you don't even have a pump. So there's some things that are no longer checkable, but things like tires, brakes, struts, shocks. Why? First winter snow, you ain't got no tread on those tires, you're going to have an accident.
Okay, and at what point in time should we be changing tires?
You should be looking at your tires all year.
I understand that, but what depth do we need to get to before we say, okay, we've got to purchase tires?
We used to say 1/32nd, and it used to be the penny rule, that if you can't get the tip of the penny to show tread, if there's no tread with the tip penny, then you probably need to change your tires. But in today's world, most of your tires have what they call safety bars or wear bars. If you can see a wear bar going across your tire, it's time to change them. But honestly, you really should be changing them long before that. Why? Because if you wait to get them, they're just about bald. And if they're bald, you've probably nearly avoided an accident at least once or twice.
And one of the things that I was told recently was you change the tires for 30 seconds.
That's fine, but the thing is, you need to inspect them. You need to check them for wear, condition. Are there cracks? Are there debris in them like nails, things like that, other things that can compromise the tire. And you need to also check your brakes. And a lot of places will do a brake inspection for nothing. You know, don't wait till you hear the scraping of your disc brakes to realize you need to change them, because by the time you hear that chirp, it's really too late, and you're starting to damage your disc brakes at that point.
Yep, and which means you got rotors and everything else.
You got it, and it gets really, really expensive. So basically, oil, air, and gasoline filters, you should check. Most people never check their gas filter. You should change it at least once during the life of the vehicle. Most people don't realize that nowadays, any car built in the last 15 years probably has what they call a cabin air filter. My wife's minivan, which is a 2002, has a cabin air filter.
My truck has a cabin air filter.
Most people don't realize that, and when they do realize it, they're nasty. Change them.
Okay, how often should we be changing them?
That is a good question. You'll want to check your owner's manual for that. But the bottom line is, it's time to pay attention. And then the worst thing that people forget, your car battery. If your battery's 3 years old or older, you're on borrowed time, son, and you need to get it checked. Most places will check the voltage. Any car parts store will check the voltage for free long before the battery fails.
And I would have thought 5 years was the number.
If you bought a 5-year battery, but the original factory battery usually is a 3-year battery.
Really? I did not know that.
Yes, sir. So much for that. In the next segment, sexism in the car business, an automotive news survey, and later, Congress strikes down the consumer protection rule. You're riding shotgun with Ken Chester and RoadWorthy Drive.
You're listening to RoadWorthy Drive.
I don't know what happened.
What happens live, folks. When you see it behind the scenes, you see the good, the bad, the ugly, and the ew.
Can't I just change? It sounds like, to me, it's a season where my vehicle, that we're frenemies as it is now, is going to need a lot of maintenance. That sounds like a lot of work to me.
No, that's regular maintenance.
No, it is. That sounds like
that's
above and beyond.
Sorry, that's regular maintenance.
Is there a place that I could just bring mine in to trade it in for an electric vehicle? I mean,
Not yet.
How much money you want to spend?
I mean, I would like to spend nothing.
That ain't happening. That's cute. That ain't happening. Electric vehicle, yeah, you can buy a Tesla today. You can buy a Nissan Leaf. You can buy a Chevy Volt with a V or Bolt with a B. You can buy...
They really have both of those available right now?
Yes, they do right now.
Okay, folks, I need you to be quiet for just 1 second so I can fix this.
Do you have a question, idea, or comment for Ken? You can let him know.
I have a question.
Only in America.
There we go. Yay. Apparently I recorded them without the music.
Whoops.
Yep. Here we go.
Okay, wait a minute. We're going to the second segment, or what are we doing?
Hang on.
And if we do, you got the jingle?
Yeah, I got the jingle.
Okay.
Jingle's all done.
And we're at 9 minutes.
Yes, we are, but I got to fix again. Hang on.
We'll wait here. So, explain to me why they have got both again, just real quick.
Because that's what they're building. You ask General Motors that question.
I mean, are they similar?
No.
Hold on.
They're very different. And the Bolt...
RoadWorthy Drive. Like us on Facebook.
I'll be right down there to get you.
Is this a robbery? You're gonna get your feelings hurt. You're gonna get your feelings hurt.
RoadWorthy Drive. Like us on Facebook.
Even the debit cards are dead.
Okay, it's fixed.
Okay. We need to wait for her because she's in this next segment.
Yeah, I know.
Shouldn't take but a moment.
I am, however, going to... Go ahead.
We're waiting for Sasha. She had to make a run downstairs, and we need her for the next segment. So we wait. That's kind of what happens. Sometimes you hurry up and wait, particularly for the talent. So, yeah, I said it.
Yes, you did.
I said it. I really did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, it's interesting to note that for all the maintenance that you have to do to own a regular car or truck,
Yep.
if you own an EV, tires and windshield wipers, blades. That's it.
Yep.
Oh my God! Girl went all the. Oh.
And don't forget to charge her transportation fees and.
Okay, I want a couple. Okay, we ready to bounce in? Honey, you ain't gotta have that. Okay. Good and bad moments. Right now, good moments. As long as I keep working, I'm good. Yes, ma'am.
And if you're wondering, those of you watching YouTube, who walked into the shot, that would be my wife, Leanne.
That's that's Mrs. Executive Producer.
Yes, sir.
The actual
The
one
power
with the
behind
yes.
the power.
And don't you forget it.
I'm just saying.
Look at what you created for
I
me.
know. I'm just stating facts, bruh.
Look, we're pot twinsies.
Oh Lord. Oh God. Okay,
Yeah.
people. We
Okay,
gotta
Don't you forget that.
Yes,
either.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We need
Okay.
to get on down the road.
Yep, we
9
do.
minutes.
9, sir.
Okay, I'm ready.
Songs stuck in
Let's
my
do
head.
it.
Wherever wheels are turning, no matter what the load, the name that's known is Firestone. where the rubber meets the road. If you're carrying steel or tilling the soil, gonna visit grandma or looking for oil, for the youngest driver and the real old pro, for a jet to land or a lawn to mow, for moving mountains or for stalking geese, following a golf ball or keeping the peace. Wherever wheels are turning, no matter what the load, the name that's known is Firestone, where the rubber meets the road.
Firestone, your symbol of quality and service.
If you're just joining us, welcome to RoadWorthy Drive, America's premier automotive news and information talk show. I'm Ken Chester, your host. As always, I want to hear from you. To add your voice to the conversation at hand, you can call the RoadWorthy Drive line at 872-222-9793 anytime, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you would rather email, that address is ken@roadworthydrive.com. Ask a question, share an opinion, heck, even suggest a topic for future discussion. It's all good. Now, for this segment, sex in the auto industry. Now, if you go back some 25 years and look at any of the car buff magazines, you'll discover what Detroit and the rest of the auto industry has known for eons. Sex sells. Even now, attend any automotive show, Detroit, Chicago, New York, Tokyo, Frankfurt, pick one, and you will find attractive models around the vehicles, usually available for pictures and answer your questions about the vehicle they're next to. However, how does this attitude measure up when talking about women in the industry and as consumers? In today's environment, has things changed at all? Trade publication Automotive News recently conducted a survey of women in the auto industry called Project XX. Here is what they found out. Now, they asked the question. They talked to 900 women in the industry, and they asked a basic question. Is sexism dead in the car business? The short answer,
No.
not even close.
Not even close.
Now, here's some of the things. They concentrated on 4 major areas. They're talking about women in the industry. Now, this would be salespeople, people in F&I, which is finance and insurance, other clerks, or even like sales managers, general managers, all strata, not just one particular type.
Correct.
If you're at the dealership level. Now, this is an industry-wide survey. We're not picking on anybody. I want to be clear about this. We're just reporting what we found out to be true.
Yep.
Now, they looked at 4 main areas: feedback and promotion, harassment and safety, inclusion, and unconscious bias. Now, here's some of the things that they found out. That many women reported being asked inappropriate questions during the hiring process. Women are routinely expected to conduct lower-level tasks despite having executive titles. Women are excluded from after-work social networking events, which, folks, I'm not making this up. I'm reading from Automotive News, which sometimes still happen at strip clubs. It's 2017. Oh, my God.
Yep.
The majority of women said they've been subjected to unwanted sexual advances from bosses, colleagues, and even customers. Now, I'm going to defer a little bit. Here's the irony of that. About 25 years ago, Wall Street Journal did a survey. One of the things they asked about was, as a consumer, would you want a man or a woman as a sales rep in buying a car? Overwhelmingly, men and women both wanted a woman. They felt that she was more trustworthy, spent more time with you, was more honest, and things like that.
You just hit the nail on the head.
Yep.
Because even my dad, who's 87, said he would much prefer buying a car from a woman because they're going to be more honest about what's going on.
Yep.
Now, they got with a group of Silicon Valley executives that created this thing called Elephant Valley, where Silicon Valley looked at sexism back several years ago.
Okay.
And they looked at 4 industries: automotive, Silicon Valley, advertising, and market research.
Okay.
Example, here's a statement. I have been subjected to an unwanted advance. Auto industry, almost 70% of the women in the industry. Another statement. I feel like I'm on equal footing with my male colleagues. That came in less than 50%. I've been asked to do lower level tasks than my male colleagues. Again, auto industry, over 70%. Here's one. I've been told I was too aggressive. While it's at 70% for the auto industry, it's over 85% in Silicon Valley. So you kind of, if a man is aggressive, he's lauded as a go-getter. If a woman's aggressive, they use less than, how shall I say, nice terms to describe her. Now, this is ridiculous. It is totally ridiculous. Now, one survey responded, automotive by far is the most sexist industry I've worked in. And she said this, the issues facing women working in automotive are far more severe and the sexism far deeper than in other industries. It's like complete shame and embarrassment. Here's the thing, though. Even is it that bad, most of the respondents will tell you in this survey that it's not as bad as it was 30 years ago. Yeah.
Now, I was about to say, isn't anything like this bad?
It's always bad. But the thing is, I guess what they're saying is, while there's still a problem, it's improving. And, you get into a whole bunch of things. I want to center on one thing. Harassment and safety. A lot of people say, well, why didn't they go to HR? And these women responded because they did not want to be labeled a troublemaker. They felt if they went to HR, they'd get a label that would stymie either promotion or opportunity or anything. And I can totally appreciate that as a person of color because that's something that different diverse groups has a problem. That if you stir the pot, even if you have legitimate problems or challenges, you're concerned that if you're labeled as a troublemaker, nobody will touch you. Nobody will consider you for promotion. Nobody wants to fool with you, network with you, anything.
And let's also talk about the fact that most of these dealers are talking to each other, and you would have a problem getting a job at another dealer.
Yeah. Well, the bottom line is things have improved, but they still got a ways to go. I found this study interesting. Another statistic. 63% of women said they've been excluded from key business events because of their gender, and 57% said they have missed social and networking outings because of their gender. This is in the auto industry. And that's crazy. Now, unconscious bias, 71% of male colleagues and clients don't make eye contact with them in meetings. So there's a lot more here than we've got time to discuss, but I thought it was interesting, and particularly in this charged environment, worth talking about. Now, when we come back in the next segment, Congress sides with the banks against you. They knocked down a rule that may affect you on your next car loan. And for the final segment, new technology reduces roadkill. This is RoadWorthy Drive.
RoadWorthy Drive is a cornerstone of the RoadWorthy Drive radio network.
Okay, I have got to chime in on this because I can totally understand. As a female, and especially when you're in sales.
Full disclosure, former salesperson, too.
Yes, former car
I
salesperson.
think we need to be talking about this on the air with you.
It is one of those things where you have to set the tone. The minute that you approach a customer, you have to set the tone as a female.
Okay, define setting the tone.
You are dressed in business attire and not provocatively, but as a female, if I'm approaching a gentleman that my specialty was trucks and SUV, they are going to see a female walking towards them. I need to set the atmosphere that I'm a professional person setting the atmosphere. So things, remarks about my looks or what I'm doing later tonight are not welcome.
Let's talk about a little devil's advocate here. More so in real estate, but to some degree the car business.
Yes.
What do you say to women who understand this bias and decide to play to it?
There's nothing. If that's how they choose to operate, then that's how they choose to operate.
But wouldn't that put other female employees at that dealership in danger? And would you argue? See, here's my take.
No, go ahead with that thought process.
I'm going. My take is simple. How a business runs, I don't care if it's a car dealership, a cleaning place, a grocery store.
Right.
Top management. Top management sets the tone for middle management, sales management, and the person who greets the customer. Management has to say to everybody that you will dress professionally. You will not, men and women, you will not dress provocatively. You have to. 'Cause, hold it. No, hold it. If you're going to do it right and you believe in treating people right, why are you going to set up a situation for a potential lawsuit when a customer crosses the line because she was dressed a certain way on purpose that she thought was the way to go because management didn't pull her? I've got a case in a company I used to work for. The woman did not work for me, but she would on purpose dress provocatively. I told her boss I'd have sent her home. I sent her home, change your clothes. No, because there's no place for that. If you want to be treated right, you want to be treated with respect, and you deserve, men and women both deserve the right to be treated with respect in the workplace, then one, don't play to the baser angels and think you can cut it both ways. Because I've seen people do that.
Okay, so multiple things on that.
Come on.
Because, first of all, a chick with my figure, with my figure, in nothing more than a polo t-shirt and jeans can be taken provocatively.
That's not provocative.
I'm just saying it can be taken provocatively.
Is the polo all the way unbuttoned or low cut?
It is summertime. It is a standard polo, and it is unbuttoned.
All the buttons?
There's only 3.
All the buttons?
Yes.
Well, see, here's the thing.
Meanwhile, the men on the field or at the same dealership, right? They're wearing the exact same shirt, unbuttoned the same way that mine is.
Okay, but some women may find that provocative.
That's why that's exactly my point. What you consider provocative is not necessarily.
But it goes back to management.
Does it?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Yes.
Management can make up all the rules that he can.
No, you're missing it. If they're providing polos, which they are, and they know, because if you're going to have an outfit, the outfit, you're representing the dealership. It's the dealership logo on that thing.
Yeah.
You're representing the dealership, and every person who greets a customer represents that particular dealership, male or female. If you've got clothing, there is different alternatives to dress professional and not necessarily provocative, men and women. I've seen it both. No, I don't accept it.
No. You can regulate however you want to regulate. But if Joe Smo comes in there and he decides to see it as provocative.
Okay, hold it. Hold it. If a customer comes
mansplaining.
In. No.
I'm going to hit the buzzer here.
No, not mansplaining. If a customer comes into the dealership and chooses to disrespect one of my employees, they'll be asked to leave. I don't need the deal that bad.
This was an original question about why I set the tone for coming at him.
And then you veered into outfits.
Did not. I was saying that you can dress provocative, and some people will take it as provocative. I was just saying in a standard uniform, people are going, the reason why I, as a female, have to set the standard is because I need to let that person know that I'm approaching, that I am all for business. And because of that, numerous, and I say again, numerous times, I have been told that I am aggressive. Because of that, I have to set the tone, and I have to set a tone in a way that most my counterparts, do not have to. But they can approach him and be friendly and be open and be joyful.
Here's the kind of question. Does that have to do more with your ethnicity than it does being a woman by itself? I think that's part of it. I'm there. I'm there.
The reason why
I'm there.
I am, yes, I would be considered exotic.
And I'll give you an example. Company I worked for many years ago. My 6'4" supervisor in my review, and I'm 5'4". At that time, maybe 130 pounds soaking wet.
I remember those.
Accused me of being aggressive. I stood up in a meeting, a diversity meeting. Said my supervisor said I'm aggressive. I stood up, turned myself around. Do I look aggressive to you? They laughed. That was my point. So I think that in that case, there was additional undercurrent in play that you may not have realized or considered. But again, I contend, and I'm going to stop right here because we need to move on, that, and we'll talk about this again, that's a promise. We will talk about this again. But the point is that, again, management, training, approach, presentation. If management, they can, it's not legislating, it's values. You don't put your employees in a situation where they may be compromised, man or woman. You don't.
I'm just saying.
No, if you've got a customer that chooses to disrespect you, you should have the right to be able to go to a fellow worker or your boss and have that individual escorted off property. I would.
Okay, but at what time do you call in, okay, here's my thing. As a strong, vivacious, vibrant female,
yes.
Okay, I don't need to call someone to handle my stuff. I don't, if somebody gets, like, obviously, if he's trying to drag me into the back of the Ram, good luck, Charlie. Good luck, Charlie. If I had one decide that he was going to, pat me on the butt as I walked away. Huh?
Break his arm? I would have.
Let's just say that I was not the one that approached him. Now, had my male counterpart is the one that actually stepped over to and handled that. But I had just turned around and there he was. Now, that being said, where I worked, it was, for the most part, everybody looked out for everybody else. There were some females that worked there. We felt very protected if something did go that way. Okay?
Bottom line, no.
But by the same token, just because somebody's going to look at me like a sexual object, no matter what I'm wearing, that's on. Okay. I put myself out there as a salesperson, and I understand the risk that I'm taking.
But here's the thing. Looking at you that way is one thing.
Right.
Responding to it's something else. I mean, you're right. People are going to be attracted to different people no matter what you wear. Mm-hmm. That's life. All I'm saying is there comes a line where it becomes unappropriate. And often it's obvious, okay? Nobody should be putting hands on you, no way, if they don't know you. But that's just me. But so much for that.
We need to go.
We do. Before we do that, anybody got any scissors or... I need to cut this. We got any scissors anywhere?
Not in here, no.
Yeah, kind of.
Oh, well then you need nail clippers.
Yeah.
You're asking a female who has nails if she has a spare set of nail clippers.
Yes. Okay. Okay. I need to handle this.
And we got to try to do...
We'll get it there.
17 minutes and 8.
Yeah. What's on these nail clippers? You ain't got them? No. Let's roll.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, it happens.
Quiet, please.
This is the third segment of this hour of RoadWorthy Drive. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Ken Chester. For those who have been longtime listeners, you know that I'm all about protecting you, the consumer. I've shared information on not just what you need to know, but more importantly, directed to you resources that you can access for additional assistance and information. Now, there was a recent action by Congress that I think is worthy of discussion because it strikes down a potential remedy against harm by banks when it regards you and perhaps your next car loan. And I'm going to fuss at this. I'm not sure if it's rant-worthy, but I'm going to fuss a little bit. I have talked about on this show a government agency called the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. And that is cfpb.gov, by the way. And they've been very instrumental, having been founded from the ashes of the housing crisis, to protect consumers against a whole broadside of financial shenanigans, carryings on, and malfeasance. One of the rules that they proposed was to allow consumers, average consumers, to enter into a class action lawsuit against a bank for said malfeasance. Now, we've seen recently, in the past few years, Wells Fargo, more recently than that, Equifax. what Congress did was they struck down that particular administrative law from that particular bureau.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. That means now that any loan you get from a bank, any business you do with a bank, you're forced into individual arbitration. And that's designed to save the banks billions of dollars, even if they were blatantly at fault.
And how much is that going to cost me, the consumer?
Directly and indirectly, it's almost as if you are giving banks a blank check to do pretty much what they want to. Now, again, full disclosure, I'm not saying that every bank is suddenly going to go dishonest on you. I'm not. Because there are a lot of awesome community banks in our country. And I'm going to say that.
And a lot of great credit unions as well.
There is. However, what I am going to say is that it's important to note that class action lawsuits was a way for the average individual to band together and actually affect change by hitting the bank or hitting the institution in the pocketbook. And I've got an example here that may be even more of something that you need to be aware of. But basically, this rule would block mandatory arbitration clauses in some cases, potentially allowing millions of Americans to file or join a lawsuit to press their complaints, hence a class action lawsuit. It's a science setback. I'm sorry. It just is. Which means, really, you need to pay more attention when you're getting that car loan, when you're getting ready to sign them documents. Before you sign them, and I've always said this, but more so now, you need to understand what you are signing and what your recourse is. And if you're not comfortable, don't sign it. Walk away. If you don't like the deal, don't take the deal. And that's important.
How many of us can read all the paperwork before we sign it?
But that's the problem.
Okay.
And that's exactly the problem. Now, we're still protected by such things as the Truth in Lending Act and certain state laws that affect loans and things. But the problem is, if there's what we call malfeasance, if a bank, for example, went into, I don't know, predatory lending against a certain subset of Americans.
Okay, define that.
Where the bank is purposely charging you more because of who you are or where you live.
Or your credit score?
Or your credit score. But that's a little iffy because credit does flow up and down based on your credit score. Obviously, the higher the credit score, the better offers you get.
Yes.
So that's not illegal. What I'm talking about is putting people into this ridiculous bind where, okay, you got a low credit score, we'll loan you money, but we're going to loan you money 20%. That's predatory. When they might qualify for a lower cost loan, but because of where they live, who they are, or what they're buying, you're going to basically rip them off because you can. Because they don't know their rights.
Okay, if I have a car dealership and you walk in and you have no credit or really, really bad credit, don't I have the right to charge you more interest because I'm taking more of a risk on you?
But you're losing the point.
Okay.
You're totally losing the point. We're not talking about normal credit business. Okay? You got to have a decent credit score to get a loan. I mean, this isn't going to change that. What I'm talking about is maybe you qualified for a better loan, but because of who you were, or what you were, or where you live. I mean, we used to call it redlining in the real estate industry, where they drew a line, a red line around a neighborhood, and they wouldn't let certain people buy into that neighborhood because of who they were. Or they would charge them higher prices, or they would charge them higher loans. They would qualify for a better loan, but they didn't get it. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I'm not talking about normal, everyday credit operations.
Because I am right, correct?
In terms of?
That
it depends on a multitude of issues.
Correct.
Your credit score being one of them, length of time at job, length of time at residence, what you're driving, what you owe. All of that stuff goes into figuring out what you can afford. But again, on this show, we've talked about it at length, what you need to do up front before you go looking for a car loan. And if you're not willing to do that, then buyer beware. That's on you.
Okay.
Okay? We're not giving people carte blanche to be, oh, I didn't know, I wasn't prepared, oh, poor me. No. Do your homework, people. Do your homework. We've talked about how to do it before. You can go on our website and find past shows where we talked about what you need to do, what you should do up front, and how to get the best deal, even if you got slightly less than perfect credit. Because you can't, the deals are out there, but you got to know. My point is very simple. Buyer beware. Because chances are you may be forced in arbitration, which limits your ability to get satisfaction. One thing that they've actually done, and I'll do it here in the little time we've got left during the segment. Another thing, they're talking about payday lenders. And Congress actually went through the steps saying, you know, they are so quick to act and so blanket, and I'm talking about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. I'm looking at a timeline off their website on this payday lending rule that they just developed, that Congress is also looking at striking down. Took them 5 years of hearings and proposals and public information and public input before they got the final rule. To me, that doesn't sound like an out-of-control government agency to me.
No, it doesn't.
It sounds like somebody looking for input, getting information. They even created a small business review panel to meet with small entity representatives that would be subject to the rule several times from the industry before getting to the rulemaking. The industry had input. The public had input. They invited public comment on the proposal long before they got to the final rule earlier this month.
And it sounds like that they did everything right here.
And Congress is getting ready to put the screws again to the little guy with no protection. And that is why I wanted to bring it up and give people the heads up. Because you need to know and you need to be aware. And I still encourage you to go to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau's website, and that's cfpb.gov. Now, in the final last segment, I'm going to help you from hitting Bambi with your car. You're listening to RoadWorthy Drive on the RoadWorthy Drive Radio Network.
Want more than your share of the road? Be sure to check out RoadWorthy Drive on Facebook.
How do I keep from hitting idiots?
I can't help you with that. You wouldn't happen to have some nail clippers over there, would you? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
You heard about that, didn't you?
No, but there's a lot of idiots on the road.
I had an accident the other day.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I didn't hear about that.
I did.
Why was I not on the list about the accident?
I'm sorry. We were having a little bit of a discussion at the time.
Okay.
I forgot, okay? Deal with it.
Involved in why.
I got nothing.
It was last Tuesday night.
I'm going to cry on record, on radio, and go on camera.
Was driving on Park Avenue in Des Moines. It was Park Avenue and Southwest 14th, which is a horrible intersection anyway, because Watrous in Southwest 14th has a four-way stop, but Park in Southwest 14th does not.
It's a two-way stop.
It's a two-way stop, and Park doesn't stop. I was traveling southbound on Park when an idiot on Southwest 14th who had been stopped at the stop sign thought I had a stop sign, and he just barreled right in front of me.
Ooh.
Ouch.
I'm fine. My car is actually fine, other than it's got a little tiny dent in the front bumper, so they want $800 to replace the front bumper.
Welcome to the brave new world.
Do you want me to take a sledgehammer with that so that way they can total it out and you can get a new one?
No, the insurance judge has already looked at it.
No,
That's
but
why
what
you
I
call
do
me.
want you to do, I want you to find a 50 cal. Let's go hunting Des Moines to find that car.
Oh my.
Because he hit and ran.
Yeah, it was a hit and
had
run.
no license plates on his car.
Great.
On the front
That's
or
why he
back.
ran.
Which pretty much means no license plates, no insurance, no driver's license or suspended driver's license.
insurance.
So
Oh, yeah.
I took the hit on my insurance, yes.
Love
But
it,
I want to
people.
go find the idiot. Although
With the $500 deductible.
I'm going to leave that.
Have you seen Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
Yeah.
The final scene with the minivan. Okay.
Poor minivan.
Sam.
Okay. 8 minutes, 50 seconds.
8 minutes, 50
You want me
seconds.
out of 30 or 40?
No, what I want you out at, hang on,
I got 30 seconds. Probably at 30 seconds left because you want 10 more seconds.
Correct,
Then it's 30 because I'm usually out at 20.
correct.
borrow him for like literally 30 seconds.
Hang on here.
I've got the echo back. I just wanted you to look at these and see if there's anything else that looks amiss to you.
If the audio is clean going into it, and the audio is clean going into it because we actually listened to it, what that tells me is...
And it comes out of nowhere. Like it was just fine until some point during our discussion.
It went south.
It went south because when I put back on to listen to our audio coming
it was
back to the echo.
Okay.
Right.
I think there's a song about that. When it all goes south. Just saying.
All right, here we go.
8 minutes, 50 seconds. Let's talk about Bambi.
Yeah.
Okay, boss.
Hang on. The Mises are acting up.
Yeah, well, we hate the Mises to pieces.
No, hang on. Here we go. Hold on. God dang it.
This is the fourth and final segment of this hour of RoadWorthy Drive. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Ken Chester. For those of you who want or need more than your fair share of the road, visit the show website, www.roadworthydrive.com. There you can listen to past shows, watch videos of our behind-the-scenes antics, and more. The website is also a great place to discover activities across social media. Sasha, our social media maven, works hard each week to post topics that will inform, interest, and even entertain you. You're going to want to check this out. See how the RoadWorthy Drive team keeps the social in our social media. Now, for this last segment, I wanted to get personal and talk about you and Bambi.
We are not friends.
I know. Most people are not. The state that we live in happens to be the fourth most likely state for deer vehicle accidents.
Yes.
Of the 50.
Yes.
And I'm wondering, show of hands in the room here in the studio, how many have hit a deer?
How many hands can I hold up?
Okay. 3 out of 4 of us, and at least one of us has hit more than one.
Yeah, well, let's just say that it's not just a coin and phrase that if you buy a brand new vehicle, the deer come running. Like they've got that new car smell kind of like amplified on their...
Well, let me help you with a little bit of this. Each year in the United States, how many animal vehicle collisions do you think there are? Every year?
Too many.
Anybody want to take a guess? How many?
How many what?
Animal to vehicle collisions.
In just our state?
1 year. In the United States. 1 year.
200,000.
1 million. With approximately, now here's something, with approximately 200 people dying attributable to collisions with just deer.
200 people die a year?
Hitting Bambi. Not moose, not cows, not any kind of other animal. Deer.
You know what I'm going to say, though?
I do.
Because can we put those deer crossing signs in a less populated road strip?
Oh, mercy. Okay, wait a minute. Property damage from these accidents exceeds how much, do you think?
Probably close to $1 billion.
Over $1 billion a year.
Wow.
$1 billion. This is 1 year. 200 people die hitting Bambi. And overall, resulting property damage is over $1 billion.
And what I would like to know is, of those 200 deaths, what are they driving?
Probably all kinds of things.
Because I would think the smaller cars, you wouldn't stand a chance.
I would beg to, having hit a deer or having a horny deer hit me, just saying. Wild buck deer. 3 years ago, brand new Lincoln MKC. Came out of a wash at an angle. Hit me just in front of the driver's side door, took out my side view mirror, crunched the left bumper, rolled onto the hood, rolled up over the vehicle, came down in the back, kicked out, in fact, some of the sensors in the back bumper. Freaked me completely out. I pulled over, looked up the hill. Don't you know that fool deer stood up,
And walked
shook
away.
him, no, shook himself, bounced twice, and he was gone. I went looking for him, couldn't find him. Figured he died off in the woods somewhere.
When they're talking about the property damage, that number seems rather high. Are we also talking about like people that swerved the deer and like maybe hit a house? Because that's happened in my
Or
neighborhood.
hit the ditch.
Yeah.
Well, see, I'm more considering
Or
to drive.
caused a multiple vehicle collision.
There, yeah,
I mean, you veer, maybe, and you hit another car.
yeah,
Or you hit the deer, and the deer goes flying and lands on something else.
yeah.
Or the person behind you doesn't realize you stopped, like, went from 60 to 0 in, like, 3 feet, and they rear-end you.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, how many different variations? I will give you this idea. These accidents are so common that transportation safety agencies have actually an acronym for them. DVC. Deer Vehicle Collision.
That was original.
Hey, you know what? I just report the
A lot
news,
of thought
brother.
went into that.
I just report the news. So here's what they're looking at. Animal detection, they're looking at one of these things is burying a leaky microwave cable in the ground along the shoulder of the road where there's a lot of deer accidents. Deer crosses that. It triggers the magnetic field, triggering an alert that could actually come up in your car.
Well, that would be helpful.
Yeah. So that's one thing. Another thing they're looking at, and the whole thing is with the rise of vehicle-to-vehicle communication, vehicle-to-infrastructure communication, vehicle-to everything communication, you know, you could literally light a sign from a distance. If a deer is out there, maybe a bright sign or something in your vehicle that says, hey, in 300 yards, you know, there's a group of deer that just showed up, that they're there. Or 3 deer crossed the road. Or 3 deer in the middle of the road. I had in upstate New York once a posse of maybe 20 deer in the middle of the road.
Yep.
I stopped and waited.
Yep. I've got a quick deer story. Was down in southern Iowa. In my other profession, I was building houses down there. We'd gone to town for dinner. We came back, it was dark. All of a sudden, I see this buck running next to my truck.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, wow.
I mean, keeping up with me. And I'm like, oh, heck no. I slow down slowly, got the truck stopped. The buck probably went 10 feet in front of the truck, got in front of me, literally looked both ways, and walked across the road.
Oh, my goodness.
And my boss was like, don't stop, don't stop. I said, no. We do not need to be having an accident out here and figuring out how we're going to walk the rest of the way home.
Ain't that the truth? Here's another thing. Another possibility to combine the animal detection system with crowdsourced information, where humans actually report it into a system ahead of time warning other drivers. This is a group of folks that have been working, I believe, at Virginia Tech, and they've been working with Toyota. They've got a number of vehicles and gathering a lot of data of how deer act to help you avoid future collisions. So they're recording a lot of stuff. I forget, they've got 48 vehicles on the road at 5 months each in an area of high deer vehicle collisions in and around the woods, yeah, private joke, folks, woods here in Virginia. So they're working on it to come up with a solution so that you're not going to hit a deer, or at least you'll know of the presence of deer in real time, because obviously deer don't necessarily follow the signs you put up where deer ahead in the next mile.
Well, but the other thing you also have to remember, too, if you live in an agricultural state right now,
Right.
they're
On the move.
they're on the move because here comes the combine.
And it's their rut season.
Yep.
And just like that, we've reached the end of this hour. I'm glad you chose listening to us, and on behalf of me and the RoadWorthy Drive team, thank you for listening. You've been listening to RoadWorthy Drive with Ken Chester.
RoadWorthy Drive with Ken Chester is a copyrighted presentation of the RoadWorthy Drive Radio Network. Any rebroadcast, retransmission, or any other use is prohibited without the written consent of the Motor News Media Corporation.
Before we leave, yeah, the good news is they're working on it. You wondered if you were working on something and all this autonomous stuff with moose and deer and God knows what. The good news is they're working on it. And we should start seeing the benefits of that work in the next few years. Not 10 years from now, not even 5 years from now. I'd say look in the next few years to see ways that they will be implementing in real time right now to reduce the number of deer vehicle collisions. And that's kind of all the time we've got. On behalf of Jack and Sasha and myself, thank you for watching Roadworthy Drive Live on YouTube Live. We'll see you next time. Bye.